Hi people, it's Archivist here with a review for the PC version of Enslaved, Odyssey to the West. Originally the game came out way back in 2010 for the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360, however the PC version came out more recently in late 2013. To be honest though, if it hadn't been for the Steam Winter Sale, I probably wouldn't have ever played this game, which would have been nothing short of a tragedy. The story of Enslaved is at its core a tale of love. The game begins with you inside a ship crashing its way towards New York City. In a desperate attempt to survive, you scour the ship for a means of escape. There is only one escape pod left, but someone is already inside. You are unable to enter, so your only option is to hang on for dear life. After being knocked unconscious by the fall, you find yourself being stared at by the mysterious girl who was inside the escape pod. Unfortunately for you, she's attached a slave band to your head, meaning you must obey her or die. Early on in the game, you learn that these two are named Monkey and Trip. Monkey is a product of growing up in the wild, and it shows through his feral body movements which resemble that of his namesake. Trip, on the other hand, is an expert at manipulating technology. Initially, Monkey is forced to obey Trip, however as the story progresses, a genuine bond of affection is born between the two. About roughly 2/3 of the way through the game, you are joined by another survivor named Pigsy, who helps to offset the very serious personalities of Monkey and Trip. The game's setting is the now familiar post-apocalyptic sprawl of destruction. Mankind has been broken while mechanized slavers rule the earth. You visit a number of locations on your adventure, my favourite being New York, which has been reclaimed by nature. Although something terrible has happened to have caused this dystopian future, the game's main focus is on the relationship side of things. I found it to be a very effective direction where you find yourself deeply invested in the characters. Gameplay wise, the main focuses are puzzle solving, combat and platforming. The puzzles in the game are pretty straightforward. I can't imagine anyone will get stuck while trying to figure out what to do. The platforming is also quite straightforward, however, it's still very entertaining thanks to the excellent ape-like animations of Monkey. He swings around the environments with a surreal grace that's like no other platformer I've ever played. The combat on the other hand has a fair amount of depth to it, with different enemy types requiring different approaches. There are also a few boss fights in the game which I did find to be a bit repetitive. Still, the epic takedowns make the effort worth it in the end. The minute-to-minute fighting involves either up-close melee attacks or long-range energy blasts. Unlike many third-person action games that feature a shooting mode, the aiming here felt very natural. One weakness of the combat I should mention though is the camera, which zooms in a little too close, which compromises your situational awareness. As well as fighting for your own life, you also spend a lot of time helping Trip out. This can involve creating a distraction or throwing her up to a ledge. She isn't a burden though, as she does have some abilities of her own. Occasionally you also get to use what Monkey refers to as the Cloud, which is essentially a hover disc. The movement in these sections is so fun and responsive, you could probably build an entire game around it. Graphically, the game looks very nice. In fact, there isn't anything in particular about the visuals to suggest the game is even that old. Sure, it's not the best looking game out there, the textures could be sharper and the shadows could be better, but the overall picture is great. What caught my attention immediately though were the facial animations, which do a great job of conveying emotion. The eyes in particular are very effective at suggesting subtle feelings. It's always a fear when playing an older game that the visuals might not stand the test of time, but that is certainly not the case here. Enslaved is such a fun and interesting game that I'm actually quite surprised and saddened that I've only just gotten around to playing it. It feels as if this game never got the recognition it deserves, but it's not too late to try it out now. If you're a fan of 3D platformers, or if you're just looking for a story with some genuine emotion, it's an absolute must buy. As always people, thanks very much for watching and see you next time.